Okay, oh, 3, 2, 1, sorry.
Lights, camera, fraction.
If you guys notice, if you hit this and notice that this, for some reason, this thing keeps, getting moved somehow. I don't know what's happening. But anyway, so we're going to talk about percents today. Just because I got to throw them in somewhere. I'm not quite sure they totally relate to what we've been doing so far or not. But percents are really important. You're going to be doing percents. Talk about useful math. You're going to be doing this for the rest of your life, right?
Oh, no.
When we talk about tips, when you go out to eat, you have to leave a tip. Sometimes you leave, I don't know what it is now.
42,000. It's usually like 20% if it's really good, but it's in between 50.
Yeah, I usually typically leave at least 20%, just because I have been a waiter or waitress and whatever. We're not going to actually do that today. I'll do that another time. But we'll talk about different word problems in relation to percent and so forth. But it's really, really important. A lot of times people get paid as on commission. They work for commission, right? So they get a percentage of their sales. So to understand percents is really important because then you can figure out, oh, I just sold that, Maserati for, $83,000, and I get a 4.2%, commission. I need to know what that is, so that I don't spend it, I don't spend too much, in advance. All right, so with percents, there are formulas that people use, and there are formulas that people use for the percents. I say, why learn another formula when you don't need to? I'm going to be throwing so many formulas at you this year that you're going to have to memorize. Why learn another one? All you have to do is exactly what it says. Exactly. Okay? So for example, number 1. If it says find 14% of
140.
80. 14% of 80. How would I solve that? Logan.
No, you divide 18 by 0.5.
What does the word of mean?
Multiply.
Multiply. How do you turn a percent into a decimal?
Decimal point.
You move the decimal 2 places to the left, right? So, really, they're saying this. Find 0.14, that's a 4, times 80. So, guys?
There was a song Miss Blackman taught us.
Okay, hang on a second. So 14% is 0.14, right? Of means multiply, parentheses means multiply, right?
Yeah.
So instead of of, I can just put parentheses and I put the 80 inside the parentheses. Immediately I'm done. I mean, I'm not done. I've got to multiply it out.
No, we're done.
0.14 times 80, and I'm going to just use a calculator.
Oh, Gary.
Oh, Gary, come on.
Because
That's not a good example.
because
Calculators?
I just like to be sure I got it right. See, in my head I did it
Can
right.
we use calculators?
Please?
Yeah, we need to make sure it's our...
Yes, you may use calculator.
Yeah!
But, wait, guys, too much noise. You may use calculators, but what I want to see is I want to see you write out the process. Does that make sense?
Just like
I need to see this. If you just write the answer, that doesn't do it for me. I need to see that you wrote 0.14 times 80. Then give me the answer.
So we can just write the percentage in its decimal form and times
Exactly
whatever,
like I did right there.
and then you can write the answer underneath that using
Yes.
your calculator?
Yeah. Okay, does that make sense? All
Can
right.
we use our phone?
So, fist of 5. Those are pretty easy, right?
You didn't show us any process. You're just like, oh, this is the answer.
All I did is I took my calculator, said 0.14.
We don't do it on paper?
So guys, this is a video, right? You guys are all talking.
Do we do it on paper?
Stop,
Or do
please.
we do it on the calculator? Confused.
Can you do what?
You do it on either day.
So if I were going to take, after I've written this, after I've converted this, the wording into an actual mathematical expression, right? Then I would take my calculator and I'd hit clear to make sure it's clear, right?
Okay.
And I'd say 0.14, 0.14, and then parenthesis means multiply. So I go times, and then 80. equals 11.2.
Awesome.
Okay? So 14% of 80 is 11.2. Okay? Does that make sense? So then let's say I gave you something. So those are pretty simple. But well, actually, let's do one more. Let's say I did find 220% of 50. So how would I do that?
You move the parentheses return.
So Jan, what would I do?
You just still move it 2 to the right, so it'd just be, or to the left, so it'd just be 2.20.
Right,
And then, or you
2.
could just multiply 50 by 2, and then find 20%.
Right. So figure 2. Okay, so 2.2 times 50 equals 110. Okay, so that would be my answer, 110. All right, how about this one? I'm going to slowly start adding complexities to these. What is, okay, 20 is 18% of what number?
Oh, I know.
So you write this, notice that is a complete question. You agree with me? It's a full sentence. So you're going to turn it into a full equation, mathematical equation with an equal sign, right? So you actually do exactly what it says in the order that it says, 20. So what do you think I'd write?
20.
Right. Is equals, right?
0.18.
0.18 of times what number?
X.
X. And I don't have to put parentheses x. I could just say 0.18x, right? Because that, whenever you have a number next to a variable, it means multiply, right? You see how easy that is? 20 is 0.18x. And then what do I do? Basically, what do I do?
You divide 20 by 0.18.
I'm going to divide both sides by 0.18, and then now you can, after I see that, then you can give me the answer.
And then you
You
can,
use your calculator.
Can we use a calculator, or
So
can we just
20
write x equals 20 over 0.18?
No, 20 divided, did I hit divided by?
Can we use
0.18.
phone?
You can use your phones. And so you get 111.11. It goes on forever and ever. Okay? So that would be your answer. Not yet, not yet. Number 3. Is that clear?
Yes.
Let's try one more like that. 4. How about 15 is 20% of what number? So somebody else. Somebody totally different. Dan. So how would I write this?
The way you would write it would be 15 equals
0.20 x. Exactly. So then I divide by 0.20 or 0.2, right? Same thing. So 15 divided by 0.2. 75. And you always look at your answer and just be sure it makes sense, right? 15 is 20% of what number? It's got to be a bigger number, right? That sounds about right, 20%, right? 20% of 100 would be what? What's 20% of 100? 20. So it's got to be smaller than 100, right? To get to be 15. So that makes sense. That makes sense to me. All right, so now let's move on. Now I'm going to make it a little harder. Or I'll leave that one. 2, 3, 4, 5. Just on the. Yeah. Okay. What if I gave you? Okay. 82% of what number is 20. So with all of these, you start from the left and you move to the right. You don't pass anything by. You always go in order. So James, what would you get?
Can I try? 82%. So it's, 0.82.
0.82.
Multiplied by x is 20.
Is that right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That's correct, right? Does that make sense? 0.82 of what number? What number is always going to be x, right?
Yeah.
Of means multiply. 0.82 times x is equals 20, right? Pretty straightforward, right? Pretty easy. Yes? So this is an easy homework, right?
Yeah.
For things for Halloween, right? It's a good easy homework.
I don't know, it might be pretty.
All right. So then you use your calculator, right?
So you
And you
still
go-
just divide them
So you're going
by-
to divide both sides by 0.82.
Yeah.
0.82, and that gives you x is equal to 20 divided by 0.82 is equal to 0. Sorry.
What?
See, that's why you have to use your brain. Make sure it's correct.
Your brain is the
20
best calculator.
Divided by 0.82 equals
Because it checks.
24.39. Okay? Straightforward, right? Pretty straightforward. Are you guys all seeing how to set them up?
Yeah.
All right. So there's one that's a little more confusing. Hang on. Okay. What percent?
What?
What percent of 60 is 22? So this one is a little confusing.
Wait, can I
Notice
guess?
all the others, I gave you the percent, right? In all the other problems, I gave you the percent. You
Can
see
I guess,
that?
Gary?
Wait, let me just finish talking
Yeah.
first. In all the other problems, I gave you the percent. I asked for a number. Does that make sense? I did not ask for a percent. So you gave me a number. Here, I'm asking for a percent, which means it's going to have the percent sign after it, right? Now, technically, I'm going to show you the way you technically would do this, and then I'm going to show you a much easier way, okay? I know some of you guys know it, but I'm just going to, I think in this one, I'd rather just sort of explain it. What percent, if we, x is x, right? I mean, what, we don't know what it is, so it's going to be x.
What? An
But
X
percent means over 100. You right? You know that? Have you heard that? Like 20% is 20 over 100, right? So what percent is x over 100 times 60 is 22. Now that's technically it. And then when you solve for x, you get the answer. All right? So let's try it. So we have now, if I rewrote this, 60 is a whole number. Does that go, if I multiply it times this, do I multiply it times the upstairs or the downstairs?
Upstairs.
Upstairs, right? So that really, that's 60x over 100 is equal to 22, right?
Yeah.
So how would I get rid of my 100?
Just divide by 10 and then 6x.
Oh, wait,
over 10
wait,
is
say it again.
Multiply by 100.
Multiply times 100, right? Times 100, and that crosses out, times 100. So now I have 60x is equal to 2200, right? And I divide by 60, divide by 60, x is equal to 2200 divided by 60.
Gary, you and the calculator.
So 36.6.7, let's say. 36.7. All right, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, this is fine. That is technically the right way to do
Wait,
it.
did Rosemary say, is that a percentage?
Yeah.
Sorry, you're right. And when you set it up like this, over 100, your answer is the answer, right? And it's already in percent format. You just have to put the percent sign after it. But if I chose to do it a slightly different way, Jan, are you seeing the different way? What would that be?
The way I do it, I just do
he's saying this, let's look at that. 60x equals 22. Now, that is not 60 over 100. It's not 60%, right? I mean, it's not 60 times x percent. It's just 60x. So when you solve this, you're not going to get a percent as an answer. You're going to get a decimal.
Is that okay?
And then you have to convert the decimal back to a percent.
That's easy though.
And that's easy. Right, so if I did it, I agree with Jan. I would do it this way. I don't do it this way.
That's
Right.
way too long.
I think this is so much easier. Let's think about it. Where are we? What percent of 60? X times 60, or 60x, right? In algebra, you usually put the number first and then the variable second. So 60x equals 22, divide by 60, divide by 60. X is equal to, what is it? 22 divided by 60 equals 0.367. So now I have to turn it into a percent. If I leave it like this, I'll get partial credit, but I will not get full credit. So what would it be,
I know.
Sienna?
You would move the decimal over 2 places to the right.
Boom, boom. So it's going to be 36.7%, right? Which is what we got here. Does that make sense? Do you see the difference? So, see, that's so much easier, in my opinion, than this. But if you like that way, if that floats your boat, go for it, right?
I use motorboats, Gary.
Yeah. I think that's almost it. Hang on.
Motorboats still float.
Okay, let's try another one. 6.
Can we go
Let's
get the phones?
try one more. One more.
Okay.
Guys?
Can I try this one?
So, 42 is what percent of 90? So I need somebody totally different to set this up. Totally different. Okay, Gardner.
So,
So do it exactly in the
Okay, so-
order.
42 equals,
42 equals,
so that's x, and then it would be 90x.
90x. Now what do I do?
You would divide 90 by itself, and then divide 42 by 90.
Right. So x is equal to 42 divided by 90, right? Whoops. 42 divided by 90 is equal to 0.467. Okay, am I done?
No.
Because it said what percent, and I gave it as a decimal. So it's going to be 46.7%, right? And I think that's all you need to know.
I think we get it now. Well, I
All right, fist of 5. Let me just see. Let me just be sure. Fist of 5.
This is a 5. I'm just holding my pen.
Okay, Sienna's at a 1 because she held up only one finger.
No.